Good evening, Spurs fans. Andrew from AJ Aussie Spurs here again, doing the dreaded review of the Newcastle game from this morning. Got lucky, I managed to see probably about 80% of the game, just bits and pieces I missed out on. But as I keep using that word, disappointing, and it really, I thought after 1-1, I thought here we go, and then 4 minutes later we concede again. A terrible goal. Just it is starting to get monotonous, and again watching a couple of other channels, you see the lot of empty seats, and they did mention it a couple of times, quite a few times in the commentary about the plethora of empty seats, which is disappointing. And you can see on X a lot of the people who are trying to sell tickets going unsold and all that sort of stuff, which is not good. Which might be a precursor to what could possibly happen next year, which would be disastrous for this football club. I personally still have got the hope that we will stay up. I still believe that it's probably a couple of wins away, and it's something that we can do. But it's just the style of play, and there was a couple of times there in the game where you looked like the players were going forward and then looked up and boom, went sideways, and you just think, oh my God, hit the ball forward, and it's frustrating to watch. You can sense it in the crowd as well. Like even just watching on the TV, you could sense the groans from when a certain situation was happening and the ball went opposite way, and you just think, oh come on. I'd like to have a shout out to Johnny. I made I think I posted it on a couple of channels, and I made the comment about the parachute payment being used as a redundancy for Thomas and his 85 staff. Of course, I was exaggerating. It was a tongue-in-cheek reference to his backroom staff. And the last person I want to upset is Johnny, because I love him. I love his channel, and I love his content. He's a very passionate Spurs supporter, and I love watching his channel because he's down to earth, salt of the earth, and he's the guy, along with Paul Hotspur Hippie, who gave me the inspiration to do this channel. So last person I want to upset is Johnny, so I apologise, Johnny. It was a tongue-in-cheek reference to his backroom staff. But another thing we all talk about, sacking Thomas Frank and all this sort of stuff, which a lot of people are supporting, and in saying that, it is all his backroom staff. So if one goes, do they all go? And does that leave us short of other stuff, which could be a challenge? It looks like you going by, when you look at the sideline now, it looks like you do need an army to coach a football team now. Who would have thought? Like, 20 years ago, you had a manager and an assistant manager. Did you? Is that all you had? Oh no. You look now, and there's 85. Exaggerating, and there's so many people lined up there. What do half of them do? Like I mentioned in a video, I think one of the first couple that I did about set pieces. What it's set pieces, coach, do what now? You just tell them and say, right, okay, we've got a corner, 6 guys just stand around the goalkeeper and just whack it into the middle. That's your set piece these days. So, or Kevin, just try and lob it as far into the 18-yard box as you can with the throw-in. Seriously, the goal we conceded against, was it Man United? Their corner, like, at least it had a bit of variety. Short, bang, bang, bang. We don't even have that. Our short corners, we go there and we're knocking it in. We've got no variety. All this talk, 'cause, with Edge, and they were saying, oh, he doesn't do this with set pieces, doesn't do that with set. But really, and that was going to be Thomas's big thing. He's very proficient at set pieces, but to be honest, we have scored a lot of goals, and we scored a goal today from a set piece. But it just seems to be that there's so many people on the sideline now, and does that confuse? You got players, and you got 4 people telling them different things. How does that gel a team? I don't know. Just sort of blows your mind that there's so many people there nowadays. And again, in a video I've previously put up, I think data-driven stuff is killing this game. Because you watch football with ease, you don't watch football on your laptop. You watch football with your eyes, and to be honest, it's not attractive anymore. And it sort of reminds me, they talk about like football going like to rugby and all that sort of stuff. And I used to be a fan of rugby union, but they put so many rules and so many regulations in now. It's boring to watch. And I think with all this stuff now, with set plays, long throws, blah blah blah, I know it's all cyclical. Like in 3 years' time, it might be tick-a-tacker again and all that sort of stuff. But it's just sometimes it's very painful to watch, and that's all. That not just Spurs. That's all awful. And just on a side note, and as this is an Aussie Spurs channel, and I know and I understand the different levels and all that sort of stuff, but I encourage all my, if there's any people in England that watch, or any US people, have a look at some of the highlights of Newcastle Jets play and Adelaide United. To be honest, they're the two youngest teams in the A-League out here in Australia, and they are a joy to watch. They really are. As I say, I understand the different levels and all that sort of stuff, but if you want to see free-flowing, attacking football, again, the weather out here would benefit that, because it is hot and players get tired, and so I guess it opens the field up. But I watched this Newcastle Jets side, and they are also, I think their average age is 23, and I think Adelaide's is 24 or something. Both of them play a very, very attacking brand of football, and it is very, very easy on the eye. As I say, I take the thing that there is different levels of football, and the A-League is probably, I don't like making comparisons, so I won't do that, but some of the players, there's an Eli Adams that plays for Newcastle. His left foot is unbelievable, and some of the Newcastle players, some of their goals of the year competition, really sensational to watch. And I believe they are. I think they're on top. They were on the top of the competition from last weekend. I think they had a win. So well worth a watch. And another, as I say, as being an Aussie, and I promote Aussie players. Mo Toure, who is recently signed, I think, in the January window for Norwich in First Division or Championship. He's banged in 4 goals in 2 games. Scored when he came off the bench in the first game, and then this morning I think they were playing Oxford and banged in a hat-trick. Scored in the first 51 seconds and then scored a hat-trick. And I know he's part of the Adelaide production line out there, and he's got a couple of brothers too that are more than adequate players. So, it's just a thought. He's a striker. He's a big lad. World Cup coming up, so hopefully he'll get a look in Tony Popovich's side for the Socceroos. But he is a strong young striker, Again, I think he moved from the Danish league to Norwich for €6 million or £6 million, $6 million. I'm not sure what it was, but something like that. So, bargain. But he's a big guy, and he's a goer, and he can score goals, all sorts of goals too. And the third one he scored was against Oxford was very, very good. And the others, keeper came out, I think, and he had the what do you call it? Skill to get around him and patience and all that sort of stuff. And the second one was a Brendan Johnson tapping, which he took really well. So as I say, I will keep promoting the Aussie players that I hear or see that are doing some good stuff over in England. And I know that Mo Toure came through the same thing as Nestri and Kunda and all that sort of stuff. So there's definitely a production line in Adelaide for their youth. They do promote their youth, and you look at that and you think about what Tottenham aren't doing, which is putting their youth players in. Now is probably the best year. Just put them in, give them a crack. Like I think Paul Hotspur or someone that said, for the last 20 minutes, just put them on. They can run around like headless chooks for 20 minutes, but they're going to give you enthusiasm. They're going to give you fight, and and I'm sure, a lot of skill. We talk about, and I'm sure that they will bring it to the table because they want to prove something. And I think, I think when Ange brought in Vicario, he brought in the people he signed. Solanke, Madison and all that sort of stuff who were signed on his watch. Whether he signed them, I don't know, who knows. But it was players with things to prove and all that sort of stuff. That was his motivation in bringing them to the club because they wanted to prove something. And I think these young players will want to prove something that they can play. So we should be giving them a crack. Give the youngsters a crack and see how we go. We've got 12 days off. I'm actually heading down to Brooms Head in New South Wales for the weekend with my lovely wife in our caravan. Weather's not looking too flash for it, but should be a good weekend with some friends. So, and I'll put a link in the description to my wife's YouTube channel. She if you want to have a look at some different places around Australia that she goes and visits, with the luxury of being able to work remotely, she goes to some not exotic but some great places too that she can work and show on her YouTube channel. So I'll put that up as well. Put a link in a link to her thing in the description to her YouTube channel. Alright guys, I think that'll just about do it. I'm going to try and be a bit more regular, putting content up just to see how we go. Some people might like it, some people will just click through it, and I might lose some subscribers, but so be it. But I'm sort of stoked that I've been able to find a camera to start with that I'm happy with, and that I start putting these videos out a little bit more often. As I say, Johnny, love you, mate. Don't want to upset you. I was tongue in cheek. We had the 85. So, all right, guys. Don't forget, support the shirt, not the suit. Got to thank Aussie Spurs for my shirt. And come on, you Spurs, let's go.